I found out my fiancé has been cheating on me throughout our entire relationship. I, 31F, have been with my fiancé, 32M, for just under 3 years now. In November we had a child together, but a couple of weeks before I gave birth I found out that a week prior to my birthday he was making plans to travel out of town to have sex with one of his friends. Unfortunately, that was the very tip of the iceberg that is his cheating. The earliest incident that I've seen for myself happened 11 months after we got together, with someone that I knew via a Discord server. I was removed from the server shortly before he cheated on me with her, and lied to her about me even being in his life, which was a common thing, or he just wouldn't mention the fact that I even existed. I found out from another one of his friends that he told her I was a stalker, yes, a stalker who lives in the same home as him. He had nudes from a bunch of people he was hiding by sending them to his own email. Photos of his ex, one of his friend's wife, and an 18-year-old who lived a few houses down from us. The 18-year-old had actually spent a day at our home under the guise of helping him work on a car. Although not much work got done on the car, they kept hiding in our shed together with the door locked. I questioned it, but I tried to trust that nothing would happen. I noticed a pattern in his behavior. He would withdraw from me for a period of time, then drop an affection bomb on me, constantly complimenting me and telling me he loves me, but now I know that was just his guilty conscience and a very pathetic attempt at covering up his BS. Now I sit here in this house every day wondering when he's going to cheat again, or lie to his friends to make sure that if I leave him that I look like a crazy person. I've definitely learned my lesson about believing my gut and not blindly trusting someone because I love them. This isn't even the full story, but I am genuinely trying to just get some of this off my chest, and I don't really have anyone in my life that I can speak to about it. Get tested ASAP and leave him. You and your baby deserve a real man. On top of all the disrespect, he has no issues painting you as a stalker like WTF. Story 2. Why should I, 41M, believe my wife, 35F, instead of someone with nothing to gain? We have been married for almost 14 years, and for the last 3 I have carried quite a burden. Someone told a friend of ours my wife cheated, and I have chosen to try my best to believe my wife instead of the source, but the damage may be done. Long version: for those that may be able to relate, it may not be a factor, but prior to dating me, my wife was a promiscuous party girl. She admitted to not always being faithful to her BFs, but she was also 19 when we meet. I've always felt like she is just playing house with me and our 3 kids. There's been various points in our relationship where she would go out more and come home hammered, or in a couple cases be brought home by her friends in terrible shape. They never went to clubs, but restaurants/bars. I always knew the people she would be with, but more often than not there would always seem to be friends of friends join them. To my knowledge these were always other girls, but that's the only part of the story I would get. During one of these periods she was hanging out a lot with one of our mutual couple's friends. She is closer to the wife than I am to the husband's, but I like the husband and consider him a friend. The husband would usually be with my wife and it not always. It's worth mentioning these long nights would usually be a "I'm gonna meet" female friend's name here, on my way home for drinks. I knew that was code for I'll be home at 11 or midnight, drunk. This couple was getting married in the fall and my wife was going on a bachelorette trip about 3 hours away. There were about 6 girls and the groom's mom. The mom hung with them until it got late each night, but she would go back to her hotel when it got late. I made my concerns known and addressed the fact that she usually overdoes it, and being out of town makes me nervous. I played the drinking card instead of, "Oh, you're going to cheat. Now I'll speed up." They went on the trip, she came back tired as expected, but everything seemed fine. They all did a pole dancing class, had dinner out and went dancing at a popular tourist trap dance club. The wedding day came, and I was still annoyed with her heavy and constant drinking. At the reception, I couldn't help but notice one of the girls looking at me in a strange way. It's like she was sad for me or something. Sort of the way someone would look at you at a loved one's funeral. I thought it was weird, but she's only 18, groom's much younger sister-in-law, and I'm just kind of an old guy at the appetizer table. Really trying to speed up now. Fast forward about 3 months. So, the girl that was looking at me all pitiful at the party tells her husband, the groom's brother, what really went down on their trip. The groom calls me. He tells me the girls started hanging out with a bunch of random guys in town on a bachelor party. They were at the same dance club, and they all partied and danced at the club. Then the bachelorette party got in the guy's limo and went to a strip club. The younger girls all had fake IDs and one knew someone there. Apparently my wife spent most of the time with one partygoer in particular. Our friend, the bride, stayed close with the bachelor from the other party. The other girls paired off with the remaining bachelor party guys. My friend, the groom, was freaking out, because he did his best to have a mellow bachelor party as to not worry his fiancé, and then she goes all out wild. After he calmed down, I asked if he knew if my wife had done anything worse than lying. He sent a text back saying she got fingered by a guy at the strip club. My heart sank. I knew at that moment I really loved my wife, and only someone I loved that much could hurt me that bad. The bride calls my wife to say the groom knows and the word is out. My wife calls me soon after and confesses to going to a strip club. I shocked her a bit when I told her I knew about the strip club and riding with the bachelor party. I asked her about the physical cheating and she denied it and said that was ridiculous. She later admitted that she danced very inappropriately with this guy, inappropriate within the expectations of our marriage. He rubbed on her legs, ass and hips. She sat in his lap in the limo and at the strip club. She said he asked if he could kiss her and she said no. She still strongly denies the fingering piece. Apparently when it got real late, she and the bride decided it was time to go. They left and called an Uber to go back to the hotel. The bride called the bachelor to make sure their friends made it out, but that's supposed to be all. The other girls Ubered separately. I can see it in my head, because my wife has done this to me. She'll get drunk in a strip club or dance club and start giving me a lap dance, and almost every time she's facing me and dancing I slide my hand up her dress and rub her or finger her. Since then we have not hung out with that group. The husband has called me here and there. It's mostly about kids, but the conversation always turns to the wives, how are we, and if I've heard anything else. The bachelorette says she doesn't know for sure if my wife did kiss the guy or get fingered, but if my wife says no, the bachelorette says to believe her. Why would the sister-in-law lie? That makes no sense to me. I've had a couple buddies say maybe she saw from a distance and assumed. Maybe she secretly hates my wife, or maybe she's dishing dirt, try or not, to get extra attention. My wife says that girl was so drunk she could hardly stand up, and she's just talking shit. I also wonder why my wife never wanted to confront the sister-in-law. The two families literally cut ties instantly and haven't hung out since. This isn't the first time my wife has all of a sudden stopped hanging out with a friend like this. I believe the friends' husbands don't like her. My wife is pretty, super likable, and fun. This has to be because when they're drunk and out she acts different. Something tells me they don't trust their wife with mine because mine is wild and cheats. No confirmation on that either. From the moment the bombshell was dropped, what little trust one had been shot to hell. She has only had one late drunk night episode since, but driving drunk and smashing a curb out an end to that night before it went to late. Am I being a chump? Do I look like an idiot to everyone? I know divorce means I destroy the lift I have with my kids. I see them every day and they are everything to me, but I know the world as we know it and they know it will never be the same if I ask for a divorce in order to relieve myself of the burden. Divorce would also be to save a little pride. I know if she left me, I'd feel even more like a simp. I think the real problem is your wife's relationship with alcohol. You have 3 kids, she needs to be coherent much of the time at this point in life. If she's constantly getting drunk, then she's an alcoholic and needs treatment. Having affairs or close calls is par for the course if she's always going out to get wasted. Get her help, and if she refuses, then that is a strong reason to divorce her. You should aim for full custody too.